Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga is finally here, and while I promised I'd wait before doing a full review, we've got to talk about something. We finally know what Jedi Master Yaddle sounds like, and until now, we've never heard her speak, not even once. In Star Wars Legends, she spoke with the same syntax as Master Yoda, what some people call talking backwards. This was changed in canon in the High Republic, where Yaddle speaks very normally. And this is the reference they've gone for the Lego game. Check it out.
Seek out the Canyon Crate Dragon in the desert of Tatooine.
This game is absolutely insane, and I will be sharing more of my thoughts in the near future, so make sure you're subscribed and also hit that bell. But today, my dear friends, we've got a lot of news for Obi-Wan Kenobi, so no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. Now, I want you to think back to the other day when Ewan McGregor announced the premiere will be moved back to the 27th and that we're getting episodes 1 and 2 on that day. It was then confirmed by Stephen Stanton that there's going to be a special screening at Star Wars Celebration. Well, a lot of us speculated that there must be a reason for this, especially pertaining to the ending of episode 2. Well, it seems, my dear friends, that is exactly the case, as Making Star Wars have revealed that episode 2 of the Kenobi series will indeed have a massive post-credit scene, and it's going to be a prequels fan's dream. Before I get into it, as always, massive spoilers ahead. This is your warning, turn away now if you don't want to hear it, but if you're sticking around for the nitty-gritty, get ready, here we go. Making Star Wars Net start by saying the following. How do you introduce a character who needs no introduction? This is the challenge with Darth Vader. While he needs no introduction, he usually seems to have a pretty good, if not perfect, entrance into his stories on screen. For the first time ever, it sounds like Darth Vader has found himself as post-credits material. It isn't just a sound effect of that fresh breath of his either, it's a post-credits introduction for Anakin Skywalker from a certain point of view. Last year, a set for Darth Vader's Bacta tank was built in Southern California, and the introduction of Darth Vader was shot for Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi. They say a trusted source confirmed the existence of the scene, and crew members even confirmed that such moments do happen in the series. And then it was confirmed that the footage was shot as post-credits material, or if you want to get technical, mid-credits. As Kenobi begins to rediscover himself and his powers in Chapter 2, let's just say there is clearly a disturbance in the Force. So once Kenobi and 10-year-old Princess Leia are reunited, this triggers our first post-credit scene. So at the end of Chapter 2, once the credits are rolling, their source told them that we see murky water and then the ugly eye of unmasked Vader. A glimpse of Anakin Skywalker's burnt face opens into frame, and we are left with an ominous feeling that Kenobi and Organa have, quote, awoken the beast. The only problem is you won't see more of this until episode 3. So really a big tease at the end of the chapter, making you crave more Vader and what happens next. They say, quote, it is Anakin Skywalker in his Bacta tank being jolted awake by the presence of his former master. And then after this, there's more credits. So this technically is going to be mid-credits rather than post-credits. And so then they reveal some information for the next chapter, or at least the start of it. So they say that this info lines up perfectly with a scene that they know was shot over the spring/summer of last year, which they figured was the start of Chapter 3 and Vader's formal introduction into the limited series. The word was that we would see a burnt Anakin on a table, limbless, in agony as his suit is being put on and reactivated, very reminiscent of Revenge of the Sith. And it was mentioned to Making Star Wars that, quote, this is how Darth Vader begins his day. And we know from the comics just how much pain Darth Vader was constantly in. And the first appearance of Vader in the show is literally his face. From a certain point of view, it's a glimpse of burnt Anakin with all of the rage and fury of the Dark Lord of the Sith that he's become. I can imagine this being pretty darn amazing, and I think it's a really smart choice to show us behind the mask before we see him suited up in the next episode. It is dark, but yet poetically rhymes so well with the ending of Revenge of the Sith 10 years prior. And remember that Deborah Chow said this is Vader between trilogies. He's not yet the kind of character we see him as in A New Hope, and while he's not Anakin anymore, he still has Anakin's recklessness and untamed fury. As we know, it's going to take fighting Kenobi twice in this show to shift him into what he's going to be like in the original trilogy. And so there you have it, guys. We're getting a freaking Vader post-credit scene, and that's when I think the audience is going to erupt. While Vader won't see any action until episode 3, he is teased at the very end of 2. Before this leak, I expected a memorable opening appearance for the character, but this is way more incredible than I thought. And again, I will reiterate, all leaks look much different on screen to how they sound on paper. Making Star Wars have been really on top of things with their scoops, and we know they're right based on the teaser trailer, which confirmed a lot of what they were saying beforehand. I will say that they are currently sitting on some more information for the role of Qui-Gon Jinn's Force Ghost in the show, so I'm sure we're going to hear more about that in the coming days and weeks, so look out for my coverage of it. And so now, my dear friends, let's move on to our next topic. We're all excited for Kenobi and of course Star Wars Celebration, but also in May we're getting the Kenobi comics, which are not just limited to the time period of the Kenobi series, but rather looking at his entire life story from when he was a child all the way up to his death in A New Hope. Now this is courtesy of Sci-Fi Wire, who sat down with Christopher Cantwell, the writer of the 5-issue miniseries. And it begins with issue number 1, the tale of an 8-year-old Obi-Wan Kenobi launched into an adventure in the Coruscant underworld. He is obviously not the Jedi he'll grow to be, but as Cantwell explains, writing Kenobi at any age means focusing on certain aspects of his character, ones that have always been there. Now, on top of Kenobi's childhood and the end of his life, they also explore some new adventures in the middle, more specifically during the Clone Wars, and Cantwell says there's going to be some new Clone Wars adventures and some, quote, intense moments. Speaking about traits that Kenobi has throughout all of his life, Cantwell says the following: he's incredibly loyal and has shown deep connections to certain people in his life. I also think he's honor bound, but willing to push boundaries when need be. I've always said that Kenobi is one of the best characters in fiction, and I love that they're going to explore the earlier part of his life, because before Qui-Gon's death, Obi-Wan did embody a lot of those traits of his master, a lot of the so-called rebellious traits in the name of doing what is right and following the will of the Force, rather than blindly obeying the council. We do see a little bit of this at the end of The Phantom Menace, but this comic series does have the opportunity to expand on what he was like as a Padawan under Qui-Gon. Again, we also see it in Master and Apprentice, but I'm really curious to see Christopher Cantwell's perspective and what he can bring to that larger canon that expands the stories that we love. Awesome stuff there. I can't wait to pick up these comics. And let me know in the comments down below if you want me to cover them. I did do War of the Bounty Hunters. I've also recently been doing Crimson Reign. Do you want me to do the Kenobi ones too? But with that said, my dear friends, that brings us to the end of this Star Wars news update. If you enjoyed it, give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, do all of that good stuff down below, and share your thoughts of the Kenobi leaks. Are you excited for this post-credit scene? And what do you make of how Kenobi is shaping up based on all of the current rumors? But until the next one, my dear friends, have an amazing day. I'm Star Wars Meg. May the Force be with you, always.